address one point you said about, and thank you for that. That
You're
was
welcome.
great. The point of put the offer out there, put your message out there, start putting it out there, and then when you get the feedback, you can adjust. The key is to start getting it out there, right? Get your offer out there. You're not going to know how to create the perfect offer if you don't start with some sort of offer, right? If that's
Correct.
if I'm saying that properly. Or it's like, I think so many of us, we want to have the perfect message for somebody out of the gate, right? Fact is, perhaps you don't have an audience to offend, so don't worry about it. But start with a message and then refine as you go.
So
Based
I'll
on,
just,
go ahead.
yeah. So perfectionism, planning, there's no shortage of things that we could blame. But I'm not going to go there. And I know it's a worthy discussion.
Yeah.
But here's the only thing. What we need to do is have clear goals. That goal could be for, as we look forward 15 days from now, what do you want to have done, right? So part of the whole SMART goal acronym is that it's attainable. It must be attainable. So whether it's 15 days to put out your first offer or to create your first podcast or to create what's attainable, right? And that's going back to that 2 Comma Club award, amazing, great thing. That's that very worthy thing. But it's like, where's my sweet spot? My goal is to find my sweet spot. And then so if I'm finding my sweet spot, how much can I do on my own, or how much can I do with one person? How much can I do with this, right?
Yes.
And then break down that goal. It's like, well, that's a fuzzy goal. It's fuzzy goals don't get hit, right?
Yes.
So what's the very first thing? It's like, okay, I'm one individual. If I'm time bound and I know my rate, I know, again, I can, how do I fill my calendar, or how do I fill my production? If I have machinery, how do I fill the machinery? Or how do I fill my course, right? Some things it's said are open-ended. Like the whole world could buy my course, and all the newborns could continue to buy my course, but that's not that's not realistic. It's okay. It seems silly, but the thing is, you have an opportunity because you understand your audience, and you're going to be out there. It's like, and the goal is to pick a number. It's like, what is it going to take for me to sell 10 of these? Again, said chicken or egg, I'll take them both. And I'm going to establish what my goal is, right? I don't know how, I hope the chicken can lay an egg a day. I do. But what's it going to take? I got to feed it, water it, protect it, right? Make sure it's warm, make sure the conditions are right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's the same thing here. It's like, we've got your audience and they're starting to pay attention to you. Yes. And it's not about what they expect. It's like who you are. What do you do for them? Again, when you understand yourself, there's a lot of self-awareness to this. But the thing is, when you are able to produce a product or a service and get a result for somebody, and it's in line with what they're looking for, right? There's a demand for it, right? We're not trying to create solutions for problems that don't exist. When I was talking about YouTube, it's like, no, there's problems that do exist. I just wasn't aware of it.
Yes.
Somebody else had the problem. I just didn't have an understanding that this was even an issue. It's like, that's amazing.
Yes.
Okay. How many industries I've seen in the past 6 years working with the folks here at ClickFunnels is it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How many awards and people who have never either haven't hit it or never applied for it, or just they don't care. The things that we help people with is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So I don't know if does that answer the question, but coming back to it.
Yeah, I think absolutely it spoke to it, and I appreciate that. And I think that's a great point. A lot of people are having success or getting their message out or solving these problems. They've found their audience. They're what's the word? I don't know. They're doing good, whatever that means to them, and they don't even worry about the award. They're that's not a metric
Sure.
that they're even really concerned about, right? Like that's,
Sure.
I appreciate that too. So thank you for sharing that as well.
So my belief comes from this one thing, that as humans, we are goal-seeking machines. And so when we set goals, we will figure out how to get to them.
Yeah.
I get it. There are definitely some things that we have to overcome.
Yeah.
Right. Ryan Holiday wrote the book, The Obstacle is the Way, for a reason.
Yeah.
But as humans, we're goal-seeking machines.
Yes.
And so there are some of us on this earth that are put on the earth to identify and create our own goals.
Yes.
And not work as a member of a team for somebody else's. I love that there are fewer of us that set our own goals than want to be like part of the machine, because like that's how we all move together. We need both.
Yeah.
Both have value and both have, but again, there are some of us that want to set these goals.
Yeah.
And we don't all achieve them, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But we know how to go back and kind of redo those. And sometimes we get beat out. Like sometimes the market's already moved, or we're going into markets that are where the solution's already well and present and very economically distributed.
That's a great way to frame that.
But if it's not, and then there's opportunity, and sometimes we need to take 1 or 2 or 3 runs at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's, again, I'll go back to it. Humans are goal-seeking machines, and everything that we bring back to this is about having others believe in the goal and the mission and the vision, and having them, as it says in the name of the podcast, having to rush the table to be a member of that movement or that machine, or and just bring it back, right?
Yeah.
So and so that they can set their own goals.
Yeah.
Right. Whether they're smart goals or their own goals, however it is. But again, humans are goal-seeking machines. When we have goals and wake up in the morning and we know what they are, we go and get them.
We go and get them. And yes, thank you. And I'd like your concept of the sweet spot. And if I would, the way I heard what that sweet spot is all right, find the thing that's that realistic sweet spot that's going to pull you forward as quick as possible to that next step, or that next to get to that sweet spot, so then you can keep moving it, right? Like for somebody, the 2CCX award as a goal or as a sweet spot might be too illusory or too I'm trying to think of the word. But
so I'll just jump in and say that at the sweet spot, if someone's trying this on just exclusively on their own, their sweet spot might be just this side of it, and that's okay. Then the goal then becomes, it's like, oh, I got this far with it. I need to add more who's in the team, and that's going to get me past that. And then I'm going to cash in my ticket for that award, and I'm going to start working on the next award. Right. So the sweet spot is, I'll expand on it just a little bit this way. It's like your sweet spot is that thing that you could do on your own, or, without, how can I say this? That like with just a few new tools, a few new things, a few, a little more traffic, a little more conversions, and you're going to get right there. So it's that thing that avoids you when the overthinking comes in, when the overwhelm comes in. It says, well, man, I need to learn this and this and this and this. I need to bring this person and this person and this person. And it's like, it's not that it won't work. It's just that now you've changed the sweet spot. So every time, if you could literally do it yourself, the sweet spot is kind of right in front of you. You could max yourself out right in front of you. It is like, if you have everything, you know how to, you have traffic, you have an audience, you're getting attention, and you're able to just put a page up in ClickFunnels, and you're going to get it done in a few days, and bang, you've got some sales. That's your sweet spot, and it's right in front of you, and it's very close when you're on your own. But the more you bring in, the more you're like, I need this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. And if it's not helpful, by the way, if you can't just show up to and hire someone to either do it and be done, or get into a program where you're just getting the help every day, right? But when you have to start to learn all these things and you're unable to implement them. So you're taking in all this stuff or you're adding all this team, all you're doing is saying, okay, so I'm now this person who has to learn these 4 pieces of expertise, add these 2 people on. So I was a person whose sweet spot was, and you'll figure it out if you ever did it, that far out. But now, oh my gosh, with all these 4 things, it's not like it's closer. When you add on more things that you have to learn and do, and you have more people here, it's like, how can you get in front of the right people and add kind of higher value items, right? Which you and I, we talk about it. It's the, am I better off to sell $1,000 course, or am I better off to write the book and try to sell 1,000 books?
Yep.
You're better off to work with those 100 people, whatever the math is, to get that same kind of revenue that you might sell 1,000 books for, right? So now you're over here. It's like, okay, that makes sense, right? But imagine if you had to learn these 2 or 3 things, get some proficiency in them, just even getting to the first, like I said earlier, with the first 20%, the 20 of the 80-20, and then you have to add other people on. And that was like, every minute you spend, it takes a little bit more time. So all we've done is we've moved the sweet spot out. And you can do that. It's just that it's a choice. Yeah. A lot of us can come in and do this. Some can't. I appreciate that. I honestly do. I appreciate that. And a lot of people already have these systems in place. And so, but those systems exist to support another operation. And we could take 10% of that system and bring it over here and not really disrupt it. That would support that individual going forward. Sure, those kind of things work. There's always that kind of conversation. But the reality is that sweet spot, wherever it is, whether it's this side of $1 million or that side of $1 million, you have a sweet spot for those of you who are thinking, how could I do it? How could I do this? How could I keep my job and do this? Or how could I stay in university and do this? Or how could I stay, wherever you are,
yes,
and do this? There is definitely a sweet spot. Your job is to go and find it.
I love that. Thank you for that explanation. Yes.
You're welcome.
Well done. Nice bow on that. Yes.
Cool.
Just a few more minutes here.
Cool.
You get to interact with a ton of people that are really successful with these frameworks. And tell me about that. Like, how fun is that to be helped people bring? You've been a guide to help get people up, have a ton of success, and then you get to interact with sort of this great breadth of entrepreneur. Like, tell me about that. Is that just, how fun is that?
It's pretty spectacular, actually. So I've had the occasion, I've had the opportunity, and really, I'll just say, kind of been blessed to go to the annual funnel hacking live events that we've had. And as I count back, I've been to 5 out of the 7 that we've had. And that's where Russell opens a party up for, 5,000 people to kind of come in. And it was different this year in COVID. We had some in person and some online, but it's pretty amazing. And again, I'm just really blown away. Like, I'm blown away because I'm a guy who came out of up until 2013 at a corporate, and in corporate you're very myopic and your goals are given to you. And look, we this world exists with both corporate and the entrepreneurs. And I know the wars are on and people like to create the thing, but the reality is that successful entrepreneurs can then create these operations that become corporate. So again, it's a whole other discussion.
Right? It's ironic. Anyway, yes.
But my eyes are opened up to how much of this world is supported by the entrepreneur, and how things are created by the entrepreneur, and a lot of changes made by the entrepreneur. And then these other operations come in and they buy it, for lack of a better word, right? Or they build it on their own, or whatever it is, or they coexist. They're all in business, or the entrepreneur builds an organization that competes with these things. But I'm amazed at, really, it's none of this is easy. and it can be disruptive, but it can also be highly rewarding. It really depends on your mindset on how you're going to look at this. And I had a very kind of black and white approach coming out of corporate and thinking that business is done a certain way. And what these amazing entrepreneurs have taught me is that they are able to find their own character, carry their own beliefs, carry the beliefs of their families, their communities, their religions, their countries, their politics, whatever, carry it forward, and still have this life that is like. And so I say that because I have had the opportunity to have lunch and dinner, and I'm, and I'm curious. And so the interesting thing is that in some respects, and everybody who's listening to this podcast, and you and me and everybody that I work with, we have this opportunity to be brilliant above what is truly believable. Mm-hmm. But we only need to do that for a little bit, right? We only need to have that spark, like, I don't know, 10 minutes a week or whatever it is. Like, I'm sure there's no real design to it, but it's through where these entrepreneurs place themselves, the opportunities that they put themselves in, whether it's just because, and sometimes we don't know, like, that this is going to happen. They show up for a reason, and then other things happen.
Yeah.
And they're able to, I talked about it earlier, about like kind of like, how do you make the frameworks your own? They make this experience their own. They might have gone to figure out, or to meet somebody at Funnel Hack Live, or to figure something out, or to support their friend, and then something else happens within that experience. And it's when you are open, when your mind, your body, your soul, everything is open for those things to happen, and they happen, and you're open, you recognize them. I'm sure they happen anyway, but we just don't recognize them, right? Right. And so like, you and I, and when I work with people, and even for myself, like, we talk a lot about our origin stories and what are those epiphanies that happen. And I got to tell you, like, I know I can be on a plane. I can be talking to somebody. If I do, that's not necessarily me, but if it happens, yeah. There's people in corporate, there's people in philanthropic and in charitable roles that the same thing happens.
Yes.
I just think that, for all the years, there is a speed that happens within the entrepreneur. And so that's like, I'm grateful for all of them that do what they do, because most of them, if not all of them, Misha, went through, some very tough times, or are going to go through some tough times.
Yeah.
And, for whatever reason, they don't throw the towel in. And business doesn't just send you a care package with a big, huge check. It doesn't happen. And so, but it's also not, all, dragons fighting dragons. It's, like, there's a lot of in between there. And so the supportive community of the entrepreneurs is amazing. When I compare and contrast that to the corporate world, and I'm not saying the corporate world didn't do that. There was a lot of sticking together and helping each other. But here it's very unique. I didn't know it existed. And so it's on a macro scale, it's very heartening. I see it every day at a smaller scale, but sometimes we forget that on a macro scale. And meeting some of these people, the stories that I hear, and I'll tell you, the things that are asked of me and asked of others. Yep. I think, and I put it this way, because they're able to they're able to know how to ask, and if not for necessarily even for help, sometimes it's just for a door to be opened, or an introduction to be met, or or feedback, right? Or feedback on the feedback that they're getting, right? Yes. And that's the differentiator. They trust themselves, and so it's brilliant to be able to have conversations with people like that. So I honestly, man, I've thoroughly enjoyed being given that opportunity to support people like that, and then it just immediately goes beyond that. Just people, man. Just people.
Just people.
Yeah.
Thank you. I liked the little nugget in there of the willing to ask, or the willing to do, or the willing to, that whatever that hard little thing is, right?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That ask goes the other way too, right? They're asked of, and they show up. They ask and they are asked of. So if I wasn't clear on that, it probably wasn't, but they're asked and asked of. And at that level, they are givers in all respects.
Yeah.
Right. To read Dr. Adam Grant's book, Give and Take, and I won't spoil the ending, but like, these people are givers and they're highly successful.
Yeah. It's awesome. That's awesome. For the audience that we were speaking to today, where the 2 Comma Club Award might be the first sort of prize, shall we say, what would be the one tip that you would say, hey, keep this top of mind? First thing that comes to your head. Just there's so many, but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to say it is 2 words, and it ain't sexy. And a lot of this stuff I didn't know even 8 years ago. But this is these 2 words are know thyself. And that is very important. And to extend that, I will say that there is self-reflection and those kind of things, but I got to tell you, everybody should have a coach, whether it's on mindset or other things. Like, when the first thing that happens when you know thyself, when you can say, yeah, I get it. I know what I'm good at, or what I'm not good at. I know what I need to do. And that's all really good. But you have to, the only way things happen here is that you're going to take action. And so, and you're representing, and again, you don't have to be the face of your brand. We cover a lot of that all day long with people, but really, know thyself. It's not just about presenting strengths, but there are periods that you go through post high school. I'll just say like in North America, just post high school, like whether you're 17 or 18, whatever, there's those 2 stages, right? And again, Dan Sullivan, strategic coach, identifies, there's lots of other people who kind of do these kind of things, but when you move from rugged individual, and then where you've got the world on your shoulders and you're carrying it, and then you transition into this valued team member kind of approach, whether you're leading the team or the team, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So you have to know, where are you in your world? Where are you in this world? And just, know thyself.
Know thyself. Yes, I
Know
love
thyself.
that.
Yeah.
It's good, and we could do about 5 episodes on that, but we'll just leave that there for now.
All right.
And then one last question.
Sure.
So that's sort of, hey, keep this top of mind. Know thyself. Find that coach. Find be aware. Trust. I mean, all the things that can go around that. Awesome. How about on the other side of that? What's the one thing you're like, watch out for this. Like, if you could avoid this, if you could avoid this, if you could avoid this.
Okay, let's go right back to it. Know thyself. Sorry, man. Because
it's fine. It's
right?
Fine.
Yeah, because look, we talked a lot today, and most of us literally know that the only way that we get results is because we've taken actions.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's a reason that you got to this action. And I'm not talking about the logical or the emotional. There was something going on, right? You felt a certain way, you felt that you needed something. And just be really clear about where those thoughts are formulating. They don't always have to be your own. They don't always have to be someone else's. There's something in there. Like know thyself is about like what, again, I talked about like how, like that risk of you doing something that moves the sweet spot to a place that you are not even going in the first place. Right. So imagine signing up to be trained as, I don't know, let's just use my example from Verdi, like as a personal coach, right? Or a professional coach or whatever it's going to be. And then suddenly, you're bringing in these other things because it was true and present. You gave it attention, and it's one of those things that likely will need to be there, but it doesn't need to be there today.
Mm.
And what happens is that it takes up those valuable things of time, energy, and money, and it can't pay off. And then it becomes, and if you look back at it, if you did that in 2019, it's not serving you. It's still not about to serve you. Because if it was able to serve you and get a return on that, you would be implementing it. So it really is like when you know thyself and you know what your goals are and you know what it is that others are doing, right? There's no shortage of conversation about, how to model what is working, but you got to have some real hard conversations about what it is. Like, first of all, we know we can't do it alone. Okay. And why should we? We shouldn't have to figure it out all over again.
Yep.
Imagine musicians having to invent a guitar and then play it and figure out that it needs to be like, it doesn't happen. Okay. So we're all standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yes.
And so,
thank you.
Again, we want to give ourselves the best opportunity. We do need to take action. And I know that if you're familiar with Seth Godin, when it comes to risk, what Seth has taught me over the years is that the biggest risk is sunk costs. Okay. And if you know thyself, if you know what this is all about, like the one thing I know, Bisha, you and I probably never talked about this. And it's but it's true. Like when I talk to people, meet successful people or those that are still working to get to what they would consider successful. And by the way, it's not about what I consider successful. It's what you and whoever I'm talking to consider successful.
Yes.
But that is a real challenge for people because they get out of sorts with themselves because of these sunk costs. Because they, again, that whole thing about like where whatever we focus on is going to come true.
Yes.
So imagine if what you're doing is you're always trying to figure out how you could utilize that $3,000 or $30,000 that you put into this course from 2 years ago, and it's still burning a hole. And it's like, and it doesn't matter because your marketplace doesn't care what you put 30 or $3,000 into, 2 years ago. What they care about is the fantastic work that you're doing today.
Yes.
And they want you to be there so that you can continue to do this. They truly do. So that's the thing. It comes back to know thyself. And like when we focus, again, we get what we focus on. And if you're focusing on the sunk cost, you have to figure out how you can move yourself off that. Get a coach, get a mindset coach, whatever it is, however you're going to do that, call it a day, go burn the books, whatever it is. I know I shouldn't say that, burn the books, but again, you know what I mean? Like just get it off your hard drive, give it to your cousin, to your aunt, to your uncle, wherever it's going to go, right? Call it a day on it, sell it for $1 on eBay. I don't even know if you could legally do that. It might be against the terms of service. So don't take my advice on that. But the fact is, get rid of it. Like somehow put it on a thumb drive and burn the hard drive. The thumb drive. I don't know. But that's the thing that keeps us anchored in the past. Yeah. And again, I go back to, Dr. Benjamin Hardy and his whole work about like the future self. That's what keeps us going forward. Right. And it's okay. Like there is You and I are talking about entrepreneurs today, but there is a lot of ways that people envision their future self and are going to get there. One of the ways that for people that I work with, that the people around me work with, is through entrepreneurship. Yeah. There are many ways to achieve whatever that people's future selves. For us over here, and looks like for you as well, that path is through entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And in 2021, and I'm sure it was as exciting in 1921 as it is in 2021.
Right.
But I didn't live then, and I live today, and I'm jacked up about this.
Me too, man. This is so good.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Cool.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Vince. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, that was amazing. Thank you for coming on to the Table Rush Masterclass and sharing your amazing knowledge and experience and everything. And
well, you're welcome, Misha. And again, you're doing the work that's going to carry all of the messages from all of the speakers, and what we do today affects a lot of other people. And our job is to get the word out, and that's that's what we're doing. So I applaud you, man. This is good work, and I look forward to listening to a lot of the other podcasts.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to hit stop, and we will say goodbye offline.